I remember doing a walking meditation by the brook. It started to snow. It was an amazing time. It's beautiful in the fall in upstate New York. And my mind and my body were in the same place at the same time. You know, they were synchronized. And I only remember feeling that or experiencing that playing sports back in the day. I played a lot of football, a lot of basketball. We would call it in sports being in the zone or in flow. You know, I was reading a book a couple weeks ago, Bill Walsh, the great coach at San Francisco, when Joe Montana was the quarterback there. Most come from behind victories in this. And Walsh's comment in the book was, it was like Montana would get in a trance. He'd be just in the zone, in the moment, as it was unfolding, as it was playing. He wasn't in fast forward, he wasn't in reverse. As it was playing, he was in this zone. And I felt that. And I thought to myself, you mean you can train your mind to be in the zone? I thought, this is great. And then, you know, your mind, so I'm in the zone, and then your mind, you know, pulls you out of the zone. But I immediately started thinking, why didn't anyone teach me this in school as a kid? I mean, I made so many stupid mistakes over the course of my life because I wasn't paying attention or I wasn't aware enough of what was happening. I still make plenty all the time. And Congress's approval rating's at 9%, so we're all doing things we don't wish we were doing every now and again. But these moments are fleeting, and so how do you be completely aware and awake for them? And right afterwards, I went up to John after, and I said, this needs to be in our schools. You know, I was working a lot with veterans. This needs to come back and be with our veterans who are experiencing so much trauma. The suicide rates are so high. It's just heartbreaking to see these families go through a lot of this. And he says, well, I got a lot of people I want you to meet if you're really interested in this. And he basically sent me on a journey that led me to Amishi, led me to Richie Davidson, led me to Goldie Hawn, led me to Linda Lantieri, who's doing a lot of work in education with Castle, as Valerie mentioned earlier. Meeting Susan Bauer-Wu, who's doing a lot of work with family caregivers, 60-some million across the country who are burnt out, the healthcare workforce. I mean, we have all these issues as Americans right now that need to be addressed. And the same old isn't going to cut it. It's not cutting it. The medication is not cutting it. The traditional idea of having a school curriculum that doesn't focus on attention span. You know, I mean, Valerie hit it on the head. We drive into our kids' heads two things. Pay attention, be nice. I heard it a million times growing up, and I'm sure all of you did too. But we never teach the kids how to pay attention. And what Mindful Kids Miami and the Mindful Schools projects that you're working on is about teaching the kids the how to pay attention. What better gift could you give a young child than to pay attention? We're not going to stop the technology. Good luck if you think you're going to, but I'm not going to spend my, you know, I'm middle-aged now almost. I'm not going to spend the second half of my life, for God's sake, trying to fight that battle. The question really is, we have to teach our kids how to be in this world. Moore's Law says technology will double itself every 18 months. The average teenager sends out 3,000 to 4,000 text messages a month. We see higher levels of violence and all of these things. We see kids that, many in schools all across the country, where 30% or more don't graduate from the high school that they attend. Now how, what's a politician involved in this for? How in God's name are we as Americans going to compete against 1.4 billion people in China and 1.3 or 4 billion people in India in a global economy if we're losing 30 or 40% of our kids don't even get out of high school? That is a recipe for economic disaster. How are we going to drive healthcare costs down, bend the cost curve down, if we don't take a step back and a deep breath and say, how do we deal with this stress thing that's driving healthcare costs up? High blood pressure, ulcers, heart disease. I mean, a lot of these, some's diet, of course, and that needs to be addressed. So we got the mindful eating, but being aware is going to help you make better decisions. But if we don't recognize that this stress is a killer and it's driving up healthcare costs, and there's a great opportunity for us to get underneath some of these with a basic practice that's really simple, that anybody can learn. And it's a life skill that you can take with you, how to be in this world of chaos, how to be in the world of technology and peer pressure. And if you look at bullying, teenage sex, drug and alcohol abuse, all the other issues we are dealing with as a society, if you don't have access to the part of your brain where you're making better decisions, then you're going to make bad decisions. You're going to make impulsive decisions. And that's why you see mindfulness coming into the addiction recovery movement in a very, very big way, because it's so helpful.